Hello, this is Warpath 1985 speaking. In today's video/review, I was discussing the C.G.A.U, a real American hero, 1984 Cobra A.S.P. Now, the Cobra A.S.P. was a very unique vehicle that was released in 1984. It was pretty much the counterpart to G.I. Joe's Whirlwind twin Gatling gun, I believe it was called. Let's just call this the Whirlwind. It was another towable vehicle in the toy line that was compatible with the universal tow hitch that was equipped with most medium to large scale Cobra and G.I. Joe vehicles, such as the Hiss tank, the Vamp, the MOBA, I believe, on certain versions. I don't think the Triumph Anniversary version had tow hitch, but no, the British version had one, and others. Now, with that aside, the Cobra A.S.P. was also very unique. I'll try to turn one here for this general section. For the history section, it's Cobra A.S.P. Can keep it very brief. And so I mentioned this is very weird. So the Cobra A.S.P. didn't really appear in that much media, but it appeared most of his appearances just come from the cartoon. It was used a lot in the cartoon when it was first introduced in 1984. And then into 1986, I believe, for a certain episode, and then not in the movie, and also in Deke as well, I believe. I mean, staring ass, because I think they released Python Patrol Ass appeared in there, along with others. But yeah, the Asp, the original version, wouldn't really appear anymore after 1986, because by then the cartoon by Samba was over, and the movie was out, and that we had the Asp right there. However, the comic book wouldn't use the A.S.P. that much, similar to other smaller towable vehicles and weapons and placements, and also playsets like battle stations and etc. Similar to the cartoon where they didn't use battle stations as well. They wanted to use something similar to it. So yeah, this Cobra A.S.P. was just the only one that was pretty much used in the cartoon. This again brings like a unique little spot in the G.I. mythos where it was the only towable vehicle that was ever used in a cartoon. Because all the other ones were either just background stuff or just little details. Because again, Cobra A.S.P. was used frequently, not just a background vehicle or whatever. Aside from this, Cobra A.S.P. would be re-released as a metalweight in 1987. However, unlike the Vamp Mark II and the Cobra Wolf, it wasn't a regional exclusive that was released through a metalweight offer in America, and they didn't really have anything particularly exclusive about it, like new parts, new different color schemes, whatever. It was just the same exact, just toy. You will get like a brand new version of the A.S.P., which was just simply the virtual version but recolored. That was the Cobra Python Patrol A.S.P., which was Pythonized version of the Cobra A.S.P. I believe also appeared in Deke. Maybe in the background, I can't remember, because again, I haven't seen that much of Deke as of recent. I've seen some of it, I've seen most of it, because I don't have the time for it. But yes, it is. Again, it's there, I believe. I believe maybe it was used in the comic book as well, but Python Patrol wasn't reused that often. You get the Python Patrol characters, and some do October Guard and etc. Like Angry Videos. You get characters, but they never really appeared again. So yeah, that was it for A.S.P. for a while. Until after the 15th anniversary toy line, it would be re-released and colored again to be the Crimson A.S.P. Again, same exact mold, but recolored in Cobra Crimson Guardsman colors like black and red. Unlike this one where it's just wholly blue, with black being like the tires and everything else. But yeah, that's it. There's nothing really else I can particularly say about the Cobra A.S.P. history-wise, other than it's just strangely used a lot in the cartoon, but not really in the comic book. Which leads us to what is kind of general function of the A.S.P. Because the general function of the A.S.P. is very inconsistent with most general collectors. They will either say it's a anti-armored weapons placement, or it's a anti-aircraft weapons placement. I believe it's the anti-aircraft weapons placement because it makes the most sense. Because again, the Cobra A.S.P. is supposed to be the Cobra's general barrel chest counterpart to the G.I. Joe Whirlwind twin Gatling gun. What was it called? Again, this is such a obscure, general, underrated weapons placement for G.A.U. Something like that. But yeah, especially with the counterpart to that, it's makes sense. We will get like a newer version that will place the Cobra A.S.P later on, which I'll talk about a little later. I mentioned it earlier for comparison's sake. But yeah, it's basically just Anti-Aircraft, the weapons placement, which is awesome. It's cool, but again, it's very limiting. However, this brings up a different topic, which is the pricing in general, the categories that are G.I. So, G.I. when it comes to the cheaper offerings, had pretty much 5 options for your average 1980s kid and or parent. You either could get a singular figure for like either it be like what was like either $150, $250, or $5 in certain occasions, or you can get like a specialized upgrade for the figure, that being the snake armor, this being like the Red Cobra version, by the way, because I don't have the original version because it's too expensive. But yeah, also this is the Red Collection version, the Cobra Trooper, if you're curious as well. So yeah, you either get those for like pretty cheap, the most of the snake armor and like the what was it, the jetpack set were both like, I think it was like $10 maybe, $10. I don't know, calculate. But however, you want to go a little more like larger, you get like a little playset, which we get to the battle stations, the small like weapons placements and vehicles, and the medium-sized vehicles. Now, this kind of goes into like a little more interesting detail. So once again, you are either a parent who wants to get something for cheap for their kids, or you are a kid who has a very limited allowance who wants to get something nice and cool for your JoJo's at like the local Sears or whatever, because again, Sears are still a thing back then. So you either could get, once again, battle station, small vehicle, or medium-sized vehicle. In this case, we have the G.I. missile defense for battle stations. In the case of medium-sized vehicles, we have the A.S.P. and small vehicles. And medium-sized vehicles, we have the Cobra A.S.P Hiss tank. Once again, general price brackets are very unique when it comes to me. History-wise, because once again, you had a lot more variety in early years, because the battle stations will go away completely after 1986. You would technically get a new one with something like the G.I. Coastal Defender, but that was more or less a towable small vehicle than anything, because although yes, it is still technically a battle station, it was still a towable vehicle, so that's used as a small vehicle. Because again, most small vehicles weren't really vehicles, they were towable vehicles in general weapons placements. So aside all of that, we have in general the A.S.P and the Cobra Hiss, which were both relatively small vehicles that you can get for pretty cheap, which were, I believe, $10 to $15 at the time, which was pretty cool, because if you were a kid who was lucky to have both at the time, you were able to activate his first gimmick, which was the towing gimmick, with the universal tow hook and hitch. Now, this is pretty easy, just, zoom out a little bit. It's a very simple gimmick. Sadly, this gimmick would actually go away. The latest vehicle I have in my collection, that being the Cobra Imp with the tow hitch gimmick, is not compatible that much with the Cobra A.S.P. Because although yes, the Cobra Imp is a medium-sized vehicle, it's far too small for this to work. Not to mention the larger little foot pegs here, not foot pegs, but just figure little placements here just kind of hinder it, so it doesn't really work, but it kind of does work. But yeah, it is a unique little price category and general vehicle category as well, and general gimmicks as well, which made the Cobra A.S.P, in my opinion, a very, very unique little weapons placement for my collection, and also checking his G.I.Joe history-wise. In my opinion, mind you, because again, to others, this is just another toy. So aside from all of this is what kind of something else about the Cobra A.S.P, which was the thing that was very prevalent with C.G.A.U at the time, which was the changing of colors. So the changing of colors is basically a big old shift between the first few general years, which C.G.A.U had 3 main color palettes, which was green, white, tan, and gray. Which were all interchangeably used between various vehicles. Gray and white being the least used, while tan and green were most used, most of the time, mind you. Technically tan will fall out of favor and be replaced by gray in the 85 through 87, but it will then be replaced by tan again because we get the Desert Fox. But again, it would just be interchanged. However, Cobra will go through many different changes in the first the first 5 years of the toy line, which were the first 2 years we mainly got black and blue Cobra vehicles to match the black and blue color scheme of the Cobra Troopers and Cobra Commander, as seen here, which would be further expanded with the accent color of red. I'll show off with the Cobra ARAH, because it's the only other Cobra vehicle I have in blue that has the color accent of red, as a physical plastic and not a sticker. Maybe I'll just move this side. You saw a couple examples there, and for that reason we will get another color, that being red, as a primer color with the Cobra Moray Hydrofoil. It's Cobra Moray Hydrofoil. Which I have the Cobra ARAH here, which was another vehicle that introduced a different accent color, which was yellow, and also gray. If I mention, gray and white will also be the accent colors that will be introduced with things like the Cobra Moray Hydrofoil, Moray, Moray Hydrofoil. There we go. And the Cobra Night Raven, but red would still retain that general secondary accent color with the Cobra Stun here, which is the vintage version, mind you, which means it is fragile as all hell, so I'm being very careful on just showing it in this little history general exposition section. But yeah, for the first 5 years, it would just be red, blue, and black, with gray and yellow. No, not yellow, sorry. Gray and white be interchanged between those, because white would only be used for the Cobra Terradrome and the Cobra Trouble Bubble, or the I forgot it's called. It's called Trouble Bubble. I'm not even gonna bother just trying to remember its actual name. But yes, we will get introduced with purple, which was introduced in 1985 via the Charlie Vipers, a little vest here. But we further expanded on with the Cobra Mamba, which you saw earlier. It's again the Nervin's version, which was the first vehicle that had as a prominent color. Once again, we will be introduced to, as mentioned earlier, yellow with the Cobra Maggot. And the Cobra Maggot was also the first vehicle to introduce the lilac color, which is general gray. It was reused in the same year with the Cobra C.G.A.U, and it was later on used for the Cobra Hiss I.F.V, but it will be forgotten and just not be used later on. And pretty much at this point, Cobra Blue and General Black would become a secondary color for white, which became a dominant primary color for things like the Cobra Ice Saber. Again, another really fragile vehicle I'm showing for the comparison's sake. And by then, yellow had taken over the color, just general primary colors, along with orange and green, oddly enough, with like certain vehicles, and gray, especially gray, becoming a primary color. Now, that would be pretty much it for just those colors, until we would get like certain like little bits here and there. As mentioned, the Cobra A.S.P was like the last vehicle for like a hot minute until we got the Cobra VTOL, the Cobra Detonator, and the Cobra Detonator was the last big like Cobra Blue vehicle, and the Cobra Desert Scorpion was the last Cobra vehicle that had black on it, tan as well. Until like 50th anniversary, where we finally got another blue Cobra vehicle, which was the Hiss I.F.V, and since then we've been getting black and blue vehicles in general playsets forever, pretty much. And yeah, that's pretty much it for most of the vehicle comparison stuff, and other more history stuff that I can show you visually, because I have mostly vehicles during that time. So the Cobra A.S.P has another like unique gimmick, which is how the driver/operator enters the actual weapons placement, which is by doing this. Very similar to like various pretty much amusement parks where you have like a person just go in there like so. So same thing here, but with a small weapon placement instead. So not as fun if you're curious, but still as terrifying. But yeah, that's what the figure should technically be there in the actual vehicle / weapons placement, which is supposed to be like the figure is looking into this little computer module. So this little targeting computer, and it's fit in here like so. It's a good thing that didn't have any sort of window here, so they can put your fingers in here and try to like, move it around to make it fit better. But yeah, if you're curious, it can only fit vintage figures, mind you. It can fit like female vintage figures a little better because they're much smaller, but only vintage figures can fit in here. No modern figures can fit in here, unless they're like maybe like one of those wee small 20th anniversary figures, but I highly doubt it. It is too difficult to just fit that one here. I already tried it myself and it was horrific. Not even like a virtual reaction figure, but a virtual collection version in general, any all O-ring figures except for D2C, mind you, can all fit in here snugly and properly. But yeah, that's all for this review. Nothing else for you to say about the Cobra A.S.P. It's a unique little weapon placement. That was the only one that was released en masse, because all the other ones were released as store exclusives, such as the various HMSs that were released through Sears, and the one that was released in the Rise Cobra. And I would like to make a little small update. I won't be here until like next Friday or Saturday, because I will be fishing for my birthday, which would be pretty cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And nothing else to say for other than just like, comment, and subscribe. And hopefully I shall see you next time.